This show is brought to you by Loud and Opinionated. Welcome back to another episode of The Puck Drops here. We enjoyed it so much. All right, you can stop, computer. We enjoyed it so much that we're going to do it again. And until the playoffs end, we will continue doing the puck drops here. And then once the season rolls around in October,
Usually September.
yeah, late September, we will bring this show back. And first and foremost, both our teams got the old broom. Both our teams got swept.
Yes, they did.
Mine is probably a little bit better. Of course, I'm Jake Williams, joined as always by Brent Pentecost. I did it again. I wanted to say Brentecost. It gets me
It's
every
okay.
time. I'm just going to call you Brentecost. That's just what it's going to be.
That's fine.
So, yeah, let's talk about that first. We've got a couple Game 7s coming up as we're recording this on Tuesday. Before we get that, let's just get it out of the way. Yes, Tampa Bay had the biggest choke in sports history. Well, I don't want to say it's the biggest. It's definitely up there, but yeah, gets swept by the Columbus Blue Jackets for their first time ever advancing in the Stanley Cup Playoffs.
Yeah, not exactly the greatest of looks for Tampa. My favorite part was Artemi Panarin and his handshake to Nikita Kucherov, who he's friends with, and he just completely made fun of him the entire way. The point where it looked like Kucherov was about ready to punch him.
Yeah, kind of a dick move. It's funny, but kind of just the troll level of that is unbelievable.
Oh, it was absolutely unbelievable. The game went not exactly how I thought it would. I thought that Tampa was going to get the win in that one. As we had stated in the podcast last week, I just didn't think that they would kind of lay over, and that's what kind of felt like happened in the third for what was it, 7-3 victory for Columbus.
Yeah, it was insane. I'd never seen a team get 3 empty netters like that. That's unreal. I think it really comes down to what I said the last time, last week when I said that they got overconfident and they relied too much on what worked for them in the regular season. And I really do think they took the Blue Jackets lightly, and that was their big mistake. And I think, like I said last time, getting rid of Cooper is not the decision. This team is still very good, and they've won a lot of playoff games. It's just this year was not. It does feel like they were doomed. It really truly felt like they were determined to have this happen to them, where they weren't going to win a championship because they had the best regular season. It just seems to happen all the time in a lot of sports.
I agree with you to a point with that. I just I honestly think that moving on from Steve Yzerman and him now being with Detroit might end up actually helping that team a little bit. Because we talked about a little bit last week, I think their biggest problem that they had was the fact that they had 6 offensive defensemen, and there wasn't any lockdown, shutdown defensive defensemen out there. That's what's kind of, I feel, been their downfall in the last 3 trips to the postseason. Stanley Cup finals, conference finals, and then getting swept here. So it's kind of been one of their issues that they've had. They just don't really step up when they fully need to, I guess. And it's surprising to see a team not even be able to score. Like, where was Stamkos? Where was Braden Point? Like, what happened to these guys?
Yeah, and it was a very competitive game until the third period. I think once they went with an empty net, there was no going back at that point.
Oh, yeah.
I knew it was over when they got their first empty net. I knew right then. I was like, that's it. That's the game.
Yeah.
It's disappointing, but misery loves company.
Yes.
The Penguins are another team that got swept Not surprising to you though. You said that they were going to get swept.
I did. I thought that they would lose the game 4-1. I just didn't see the heart in the team. I didn't see the defense figuring out how to play. And it ended up being a 3-1 loss, which they only gave up one empty netter this time, which was nice, I guess. But it's been one of those things for them this year where they're such an inconsistent team. Like they went in to the playoffs streaking, playing well, and then all of a sudden this playoff series and like it's like the defense forgot how to play. Bad pitches, high risk moves. So just dumb moves, high risk moves, and they laid their goalie out. There's a bunch of fans online trying to say that it was that this is a Matt Murray problem and he shouldn't be doing anything. And man, it wasn't Matt Murray's fault. He didn't give up much for soft goals at all. He got screwed on most. I mean, you give the dude, you bring in 2-on-1s consistently, and you're going to give up goals. It's just how it is. These guys are too skilled to be able to have a goalie stop.
I felt the same way with Tampa. I mean, I said it last week. When you are playing that much in your own zone, I don't care how good the goalie is. He can only bail you out for so long.
Yeah, he's gonna get tired. He's gonna end up giving stuff up. It's just how it goes. Like you start to get tired. You start to cheat a little bit because you think that maybe they're gonna go for the pass here. You leave that near side open, and all of a sudden that becomes an issue. That was one of the biggest problems that Marc-Andre Fleury had for Pittsburgh in the playoffs back in the day. And it wasn't so much that he was their lack of effort from the Penguins, like team itself. It was Penguins had no backup goalie, and he played 65 games a year, and you're just tired getting into the playoffs at that point.
Yeah. Moving forward, another team that can join Tampa Bay in the misery of misery-loving company, the Calgary Flames, who were a first seed in their conference. They were eliminated by the Colorado Avalanche. This is insane to see both first seeds get eliminated in the first round. Is
first time it's ever happened.
It's unbelievable. You never see this, not only in the Stanley Cup playoffs, but any playoffs. You don't see something like this. This is why we love this so much, is because there really is at an amazing level of parity in the playoffs. Playoff hockey is unreal.
This is the perfect example of the parity that we have in the league for the NHL. Like it's perfect for that. Like it's crazy how this can happen. We're at the point now where every single division winner might get knocked out. 3 of the 4 have been knocked out already, and Washington plays Carolina tomorrow in Game 7. And that could easily could end up with all division winners knocked out. That's unheard of. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
all 4 wild cards would move on.
Right, and I think that's what's so exciting about this this year's playoffs, and I think it really comes down to these teams have chips on their shoulders. These teams have something to prove. I mean, Columbus. Nobody gave Columbus a chance in the first round. Nobody gave. I mean,
I didn't give them a chance to really win. I thought they'd make it tough on Tampa, but sweep absolutely not. That was nowhere was that a possibility in my head.
Avalanche, I think, is a little bit of a different story. I thought the Avalanche would. I didn't think they would advance, but I definitely thought they would definitely put pressure on Calgary and make that a very competitive series. I just had no idea that they would actually win that series.
See, in my bracket itself, I took Colorado to upset Calgary in 7 games. But that was me. That's been my dark horse for the playoffs was Colorado because I just thought, what?
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was like, what? But like that was my dark horse that I thought going into the playoffs could cause some trouble, and I thought that the way Grubauer started playing at the end of the year was going to help him, and he has been a brick wall so far for him. So
I think what's funny is both our dark horses actually advanced because I had the Blues as a dark horse and they're advancing as well. I could see I could see a Game 7, but I didn't see the Flames losing in that scenario. So yeah, those are kind of the surprises that we have in the first round so far. Like you said, there still could be another surprise on Wednesday, but yeah, so far it's been pretty wild.
It's been a pretty bad decade too for the province of Alberta, since Calgary and Edmonton both. There's been one playoff series win in, I believe, the last decade for them together.
Uh, so let's talk about, before we actually talk about the game 7, let's talk about the game 6 between the Golden Knights and the Sharks.
The 2 OT thriller.
Oh my goodness. And Vegas gets that power play and you think, oh yeah, this is it. This is the moment that's going to, finally end this game. And then the Sharks turn around and get that shorthanded goal. I'm like, my God, this is again a prime example of why the Stanley Cup playoffs are so great, because unbelievable.
And
unbelievable
it looked like a soft goal by Hurdle, but it really wasn't. It got deflected off the defender's stick, and the spot where Fleury is going and where that shot was probably going to be was where Fleury was. Just that small, minute change of direction gets it right over top the pad and into the net.
It's puck luck,
Oh, yeah. And I think the biggest problem you have like that now, like that's almost a backbreaker. Like you almost have to go into this game thinking Vegas is behind the 8 ball already. Like they dominated that game, and Martin Jones stole it for San Jose. Absolutely stole it. The guy who's been terrible all year all of a sudden decides he's going to be phenomenal in net. So
yeah.
unless Jones has a complete letdown, I feel like this is going to be one of those games where Vegas comes out kind of flat-footed, just because that was a backbreaker of a goal on Sunday.
Well, yeah, let's look into it this way. We're going back. We're in San Jose for Game 7. I think I don't know. I have two minds about this. I think what you said is true, that it could be a backbreaker, and it could feel like, well, no matter what we do here, San Jose found a way to win. We had a power play, we had the advantage, and the puck luck was in their favor. Those plays happen. I don't know. I still like Vegas. I still like them in this. I think rather than be demoralized by that, I think that's going to motivate them, and to say, hey, we're going onto their ice and we're going to end this series. And I think it's going to be, I could honestly see another overtime game. That's how close I think these two teams have been playing each other all the first round.
I agree. I actually fully agree with you on that one. It's just, it's hard to get past something that happened like with that goal. Like it's just, so I could see Vegas trying to, rally the troops and do their best there. But man, that's a rough one. So
it'll be fun to watch. And, it's kind of like what you were saying last week, where it's in the West. It's that fast paced kind of, or not fast paced, but that kind of offense that we're used to seeing in the West. And I think it's going to be a close one. If I was going to say points wise, I would say probably, 3-2 Vegas. If I were to give a point.
Gotcha. All right. So you're looking at 3-2 to odds. I'd say it'd flip it the other way. 3-2 odds towards San Jose. You're at home ice. Home ice is huge. Home ice, and the fact that a double overtime softie of a goal. Look at it as a softie of a goal, but I mean, it really wasn't all that soft. So we'll see what happens. I mean, Marc-Andre Fleury's proven that he can lose a game and come back and be just fine. So it could easily end up being theirs. So
yeah, and that's the interesting thing, is there's a lot of playoff experience on both teams. So it's really a toss-up. I think this is, to me, the most exciting matchup. Not to say that the other Game 7s aren't as exciting. Game 7s are exciting all the time.
Toronto and Boston, they might actually murder each other, so that might be a thing.
But yeah, this is the one that I think is going to be the most exciting game, and it's going to be a late one. So if you're not on the West Coast, it's going to be, if you're living in our time zone, it's going to be 9 o'clock. If you're on the East Coast, it's 10 o'clock over there for Boston fans.
Yep.
So Well, I'm sorry, not the Boston game itself, but the Golden Knights Sharks game.
Yeah, Golden Knights. Well, it'll be 10 o'clock on the East Coast. Yeah.
10 o'clock for them. So once they get done watching that, they could probably watch it on the big screen in the arena.
Yeah, it's going to be this Boston Toronto game is going to be a friggin' knockdown drag out fight. I can tell you that already. Like just how these games have gone so far, and Frederick Anderson absolutely kept Toronto in the game in Game 6 for him. If it wasn't for Frederick Anderson, that was a blowout by Boston. They're up like 5-3, and then end up getting an extra goal there with about 3.5 minutes left to pull within one, but just couldn't quite pull the comeback. So,
yeah, I'm worried for you. Yes, to agree with you, I am worried that somebody is going to get hurt. There's going to be a lot of stretchers out there, and it's going to be a bloodbath. But I think that this, I don't know, it's just hard for me to pick against Boston in this scenario. I think Boston wins this series, and
I do too. It's in Boston. I think Boston takes it, but it's going to be It's going to be a close game. I don't think it's going to be one of those what we've seen so far where one team pulls out and then kind of keeps the lead. Like this is going to be a back and forth. I think there's going to be a couple game tying goals, and then I wouldn't be surprised if we see overtime tonight in this game.
I that's I don't know. And the only reason I give the advantage to Boston is because of home ice. I think those fans, any Boston sports team, if it's in their arena, if it's on the court, on their ice, they always have the advantage. I think because that fan base is rabid, and they're the worst people I know. But
yeah, I'm not a big fan of the old New England area sports.
Well, it's really funny because Paul, he is a Celtics fan, so
yeah,
he's really happy. They swept the Pacers, so he's in a good mood right now.
That's good for him.
All right, so based on our picks so far, I have Vegas advancing. So in this bracket, Vegas will be playing Colorado, and the Bruins will be playing the Blue Jackets. Who do you think is going to? I Caps, Hurricanes. Who we think is going to win that Game 7?
My heart tells me the Hurricanes. My brain tells me the Capitals. I'd love to see the Hurricanes pull it off. Not just because I'm a Penguins fan and I hate the Capitals, but because I think it'd be really cool to see all 4 division winners knocked out in the first round.
Yeah,
it's never happened before, and I think it'd be really cool.
The fact that we get all, if that were to happen, and I mean, yeah, because Dallas wins, so that's another wild card team. All
that
was
a hell of a game last night too, by the way. I don't know if you got to watch much of it.
Yeah, if we get all the wild card teams in the second round, that's just going to be absolutely insane. I mean, it's a good thing I don't bet on these things because I would lose so much money. But as much as we want to see that, I think it is really hard to pick against the Capitals. They're defending their championship. They're defending the cup. I think that they're going to win. In a very hard fought game, I think you got to give it to the Caps.
I think so too. They just got a little bit more firepower. Granted, they are down TJ Oshie at this point with broken collarbone that he just had surgery on, and that's a big loss for him.
He's
a goal scoring winger, and let's be honest, they don't have somebody that's going to just go in and fill in his role. You can't just pull a healthy scratch in to fill in for TJ Oshie. This doesn't happen. So
I think here I'm going to make a bold statement. I think the Caps win in a shutout.
I don't know, man. Mr. Game 7 is on the Hurricanes. Justin Williams. This will be his 9th Game 7 he's been in. He's 7-1. In those games, he scored 7 goals and has 14 points. In 8 games, he has 7 goals and 14 points in Game 7s. Well, and I'll let you take a guess at who his loss was to.
Was it Ovi?
No.
Oh, who was it to?
Pittsburgh.
Oh, shit. Oh, you know what? I should have known because of that stupid smile on your face. I should have known.
Yeah, the 2016 Stanley Cup. They went to Game 7. Yeah,
I
or not Stanley Cup, but the playoffs that year when they went to Game 7 against Pittsburgh.
and another thing to add to this matchup, if the Caps had not won the cup last year and not got that monkey off their back, I would have picked the Hurricanes here. But knowing that they've put it together last year, they figured out how to get it going last year. It's really hard to go against them this year.
I agree, but I'm still going against them. So
Why? I understand.
I'm a Hurricanes fan for a day tomorrow. I'm gonna wear my Hartford Whalers shirt.
That's the thing. Who do I root for now? Now that the Lightning have been eliminated, who do I?
I'm rooting for my dark horse. That's my thing. So I'm just gonna root for Colorado. I'm gonna root for Colorado the rest of this way. It'd be good to see a bunch of my friends that are Avalanche fans to go ahead and be super happy about it. And there's a chance if it gets to Vegas, if it is Vegas that they play, that we might end up in Vegas for one of the playoff games. So that would be. I've never been to an NHL playoff game, and I would really like to go. And I think Vegas would be a great time for it.
Yeah, I've never been to a game in general, but yeah, if it's an excuse
you need to figure that out. You've at least been to an Iowa Wild game now that you live in Des Moines, right?
I have not, amazingly, no.
Good Lord, man.
I've been to Lincoln Stars games when I lived in Lincoln. I never went to an Iowa Wild game yet.
They do like the old shit box, huh?
They do partnerships with where I work. I could easily get tickets. Whenever they have games here, I'm always busy doing something else. I'm always out of town or something. I
had season tickets to the Lancers, and I think I missed 80% of the games this year. I literally paid to not go to the fucking games. So
I guarantee you, there's an email right now. Oh, yep. Look, Iowa Wild tickets. Just got the email 5 minutes ago. There's Iowa Wild tickets.
It's playoffs, bud. You better go.
Well, I gotta drive all the way back there to get them.
It's an AHL playoff game too, man. That's gonna be brutal.
Well, it's crazy too. I know we're getting off on a tangent a little bit here, but it's really crazy because there's AHL playoffs and they have the USHL playoffs too. Because Dubuque's playing, or Des Moines Buccaneers are playing tonight as well.
Yeah.
So
if you've ever been to the arena where the Buccaneer Arena, it's quite the place. Just say that.
It's like the ice box in Lincoln. Dude, it's a barn.
Yeah, it's also known as the shit box.
Well, see, this is where I don't even know why I'm doing this show with you because I'm a Stars guy. You're Lancers. This is just never going to work.
No, it's all good. I actually enjoy the ice boxes. It just reminds me of old school fucking hockey. Like that's old school hockey right there. Like it's literally a barn. Like it's just a metal fabricated building with a rink in it, and that's cool as hell. Yeah, that's just what it is.
And it's funny because the way that Lincoln's set up, it's like tucked away. Behind the Devaney Center. It's just like tucked away in this little corner that nobody talks about.
Yep.
Yeah. I love farm hockey. It's fun.
I love farm hockey.
They're farm leagues. That's what they are.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's junior hockey. Let's call it junior hockey.
I don't know how many current NHL players or Stars players or anything like that.
I know that Zach Aston Reese was a Star. He's a Pittsburgh Penguin now.
So
David Backes, who is on the Blues, was a Star. He's
still playing for them? I didn't know.
Or not the Blues. He's on the Bruins. Sorry, my bad. He's on the Bruins. Yeah, he's still playing.
That would be a storyline if he could play against his old team.
Paul Stastny for the Golden Knights was a Lancer.
Nice.
So was Eric Holla.
So looking ahead at some of these matchups based on our picks, before we get there, I want to talk about some other than the first seeds getting eliminated. I do want to talk about the fact that I am surprised with how well the Dallas Stars played against the Predators.
Dallas was slumping at the end of the year anyways. Like they won a lot of games. No team that has the worst power play in all of hockey is going to probably be able to advance. They literally did not score on the power play in the playoffs, and they had the worst power play in the NHL. So you can't sustain that. And then Dallas won it off of. The Radulov, Seguin, and Ben line was absolutely just dominating. They kept the puck. They had so many scoring chances off that line. It was insane.
To me, I think it would the most like surprising game for me was the game 4 where they scored 4 goals in the first period and just
1-5-1.
Just absolutely bullied them and dominated them. Maybe it was the home ice advantage there. I don't know. But that was enough to me to be like, oh, wow, that's impressive. But you're right. When you talk about power play, if you can't score on the power play, you're not long for this world. this world of the playoffs. It's just not going to happen.
No, it doesn't work. Like, and it's insane to say that that's what it is when they have the defenseman that they have that can quarterback the power play, and you have Philip Forsberg, and you have Victor Arvidsson. You have all these guys that could do well, but they just couldn't figure it out this year on the power play.
Yeah, and especially playing up against a team like the St. Louis Blues, I don't like their chances. I think, we've got to give the predictions over Game 7. If we want to look at the future, our brackets are going to look a little bit different here. So I have Avalanche playing against the Golden Knights, Jackets playing against Bruins. I guess we both had the Bruins in that one.
Yep.
And it's Caps Islanders.
I have Canes Islanders, but I mean that's just me.
That's really only our difference. It is going to be hard for me, and now I don't necessarily think that they're going to get to the Cup, but it's going to be hard for me to pick against the Blue Jackets because I witnessed firsthand through 4 games what they did to Tampa Bay, and
they also battled it out through a much harder conference too, or division. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works. So
I think that regardless of who they play, they are going to be going into a dangerous situation. Much like whoever the Avalanche play, it's going to be a dangerous situation. I think both those two teams on opposite sides of the bracket are very, very motivated. There's so much momentum coming from that, and momentum is the most important thing that you can have in these playoffs. And I don't think they're going to sweep, whoever they play, but I think they have a legitimate shot at advancing.
I mean, I fully agree. Like we said, the Blue Jackets got a little bit of a help for advancement on that because they got to go through the Atlantic side instead. Like Boston, Toronto are beating the crap out of each other. They happened to actually get through Tampa, which not anybody really thought was going to happen. But the Atlantic's was an easier division this year than what the Metro was. Like the Metro was stacked again, like usual. Like all 5 teams, they have 5 teams in from the Metro because nobody from the Atlantic could win a wild card. So it's they did what they did this year and battled through a tougher division in their conference, and now they get the reap the benefits of being the wild card number 2, surprisingly, and going through the Atlantic. So,
and the fact that they have all this time off,
Yeah. Well, and that sometimes can be bad though. That time off can actually hurt you sometimes too, because then you end up rusty in that first game, and then say you end up behind the A-ball in that first game. That's rough. So, especially for a wild card too, who has to travel. Like they're just sitting at home waiting to be like, well, now we got to wait for this to figure out how we get to go and do this. Like I guarantee you, Columbus was just hoping for the fact that Toronto would have won that game on Sunday.
Yeah. Well, you're right. Yeah.
Same with Colorado. So
there's multiple layers to that, but the way that Toronto and Boston are playing each other, the brutality of the series is going to help the Blue Jays, because the Blue Jays are going to have to hold on a second. Gotta take a timeout here.
Right. I'm finishing this up. Sorry, dude.
So anyway, I was saying that because of the physicality of the Leafs and the Bruins, that's going to benefit the Blue Jackets in a way. I think there could be rust, but then you can also look at this team's going to be whoever wins is going to be worn out. It's going to be a very physical matchup.
Oh, for sure.
And yes, you can say the same thing for the Avalanche or the Islanders in this scenario. But looking ahead, I think we're still in for a wild ride. I would love I would love to see the Hurricanes do it, but it's just so hard to go against Ovi and the experience of the Caps.
I agree. I have a hard time going against Williams at this point. Like, he played so well in that game 6. So
yeah, we're gonna have to, one way or another, we're gonna find out.
we have to do like a bet or a challenge on this game or something at some point here.
Well, we do. Yes, we got to make I feel like once we get to the conference ones, we got to stand firm and be like, all right, this team is winning the cup, and then have some sort of punishment for the loser.
Okay. All right.
To wrap up the show, I want to talk about your beer league here, because
oh god,
you seemed very upset. You finished in second place. What happened?
Oh, we just we didn't have our normal goalie, which is fine. It sucks because just so happened that the final weekend of beer league was off of Easter weekend, so we had a few people that weren't able to be there. We didn't lose. We finished in second in the regular season. Tournament's a double elimination tournament. We didn't lose up until the championship. So all we had to do was win one damn game. And we lose the first one 4-2. So we had an hour and a half break. And then we had to go play a second game, and we got throttled. And we lost and took second place. The second year in a row that's what we've done. Except for last year, we were in first place and then did the same thing. So
collapsed.
It wasn't bad. I mean, it is what it is. We lost to a good group of guys. It was fun. It was a fun game still. Nothing crazy. So it's just a frustration moment. But it's fucking beer league hockey. So you get done and you sign back up. You go play again. Summer session starts in like 3 weeks. So
win or lose, you booze, man. Win or lose, you booze.
There was plenty of booze afterwards. That's for sure.
There's something else I was going to say, and I lost my train of thought. I was just trying to think of how I'm sorry. Your social media posts were very melodramatic about it, and it looks to be okay now.
It's all good. We're all good, man. Yeah, I'm about to go play hockey again here in a little bit. Got goalie tonight, so all the fun.
It's also funny because this Loud Sports family of playing, it's really funny because you have the hockey team. Paul has his basketball team, and I always feel like I'm doing press conferences for both now.
You shit. I mean, maybe we could start that. You can just be like the press conference for beer league sports. Instead of Loud Sports, it's Beer League Loud Sports press conference hosted by Jake Williams.
I just have my hand up every time. Yes, Jake Williams, Loud Sports.
It'd be perfect, actually.
All right, well, that's going to wrap up this week's episode of The Puck Drops Here. You can get it on loudandopinionated.com. You can find it on the Loud Sports RSS feed. You can also find it on Loud and Opinionated YouTube channel. You can follow us on social media at Loud Opinionated. You can like us on Facebook, Loud and Opinionated, and all that fun stuff. And we'll see what happens next week. Hopefully, the madness continues, where maybe the Hurricanes can pull it off, and we have another division team just getting swept out of the playoff. Well, not swept, but you know what I mean. Getting eliminated.
Getting knocked out, yeah. Having all 4 knocked out in the first round would be absolutely crazy. So,
and I guess time for Brent and I to just ride the brooms into the sunset.
Yeah, we're a couple of witches now, so it's fine.
Yeah. Thanks so much for listening, guys, and we'll see you next week.